here we are in Marvelous Designer and we'll be creating a hoodie today. So let's head to Modular Configurator panel over here. It is a very useful tool that helps you to speed up building the patterns. It has a few different categories for men and women. Let's select the one with the man. Let's head to the T-shirt category and select the dropped T-shirt icon over here. It created a modular system we can choose from. Let's select this long sleeve and round neck. Okay, great. So as you can see, MD generated this nice and clean modular system for us, which saves so much time. Now let's close this modular configurator and let's start blocking some adjustments. Let's head to File, Import, and select Alembic. Now we'll import our Alembic avatar file. Make sure the settings are fine. And here it is, T-pose avatar. Let's head to animation. And as you can see, it's just a simple from T-pose to A-pose animation, super smooth and super simple. Okay, now select all the patterns in 2D window and let's adjust it just a little bit so it could match our avatar. Okay, let's head back to animation and play back just a few frames forward of our animations until his arms are facing the ground like this. Just a little bit. Great. Back to simulation mode. Select all the patterns, a few minor adjustments, and now I think we are ready to do the simulation. Press this button or space, and here we are. Our shirt is simulated on top of our avatar. Also, while in simulation mode, you can left click and drag separate pieces of the geometry to make them fit more accurately on top of your avatar. You'll be doing this process pretty much a lot, but it's a fun process and make your clothes look more accurate and realistic. Okay, so I think we are good, just making sure we don't have any avatar intersections. Okay, yeah, cool. So now let's add some garment modifications to make it look more like a hoodie. Let's remove this modular system we've created. Let's click on this gray part, right click and remove modular relationship. Press yes. It's going to remove the modular system since we don't need it anymore. And also let's move all the pieces we've created a bit closer together so they are much more visible for us. Like this. Now we are ready to do those adjustments to our pattern. So let's head to our 2D pattern window and select this edit pattern by pressing Z and select this line and this line. Press left click on one of them and choose offset as internal line. Okay, nice. Now let's select distance value to 25 millimeters. 25 millimeters and press OK. So now we've created those internal lines inside our sleeve mesh that we can cut, we can adjust, we can assign different cool stuff on it. But for now, we'll do those wrist parts for our hoodie. Let's left click and select cut and sew. And as you can see, we've created those nice wrist parts. Now let's do the same thing to the bottom body of the shirt by doing the same process. Click Z, select those lines, right click, and offset as internal line. Same distance, press OK. And let's cut this piece, same as we did before, right click, cut and sew. So now we have our basic looking long-sleeved shirt, and we might want to do some minor tweaks to make it more feel so it would have more feel of a hoodie. So let's jump into the 2D window. Let's get back our avatar, and let's select those pieces, and let's press simulate to make sure every piece of our garment fits well. So okay, let's head back to this property editor and play with those two parameters. Let's decrease this shrinkage weft to 80%, and it fitted our avatar and made a slim fit shirt, but we don't want that. We want to increase this number. Let's increase it to 1 to 5, and increase warp 1 to 5 as well, but it makes it look like a robe, so we don't want that. So let's get back to 100%. So now we have a pretty much oversized looking sweater. And also let's make sure there is no intersections, and our garment fits great in every single piece of the outfit. While in simulation mode, let's drag those things a little bit up, and about a little bit of shoulders, a bit of a back, just making sure everything fits well, and no artifacts is happening in between the avatar and garment. Okay, so we've created our long-sleeved oversized sweater, and now let's work on this hood part. First of all, let's get back our avatar by clicking Shift A, and let's start creating a new pattern that's going to be our hood part over here. Let's get to 2D pattern window and select rectangle by pressing S, and let's drag and create one. Okay, here it is. It appeared in our 3D window. We're going to rotate it 90 degrees and move it closer to the head, so like this. And now let's make sure we decrease the number of particle distance to 10, which is basically increasing the number of polygons on this specific pattern. Now let's click this pattern, right click and click symmetry pattern with sewing, which basically creates the mirrored version of the first one. And the great part of it is whenever you do any changes to one of it, it automatically creates the same changes to the mirrored pattern, which is pretty great. Now let's select add point and select the smooth curve bottom, and let's drag one of the points to the maximum. And what it does, it smoothes the vector of the spline and creates a nice and round shape angle. This is exactly what we need for our hood. And also let's delete those neck parts that modular system created for us. We don't really need those for our hood. Okay, now I think we are ready to do some sewing over here. So let's get to our 2D panel window and select segment sewing, or press N. Let's select this one. And let's sew those two top parts with each other. Like this, you see those lines appear. This means that those lines are sewed. And we also want to sew those bottom parts as well. Let's add another point to the spline by clicking X, and let's select something in between, in the middle, and back to segment sewing. And you can actually do the sewing in 3D window, which are more convenient. Now let's sew this part with this part, this one with this one, front one with this one, and the last one goes here. Now let's press simulate to simulate this guy. Press space or simulate button. Okay, here we are. The hood is there, but obviously it's not looking great for now because it's way too small. We can actually fix those by two different techniques. First, let's try to do a simple one. Let's select one of the patterns and scale them just a little bit up and press simulate again. Now it's more relaxed and fitting our avatar's head more equally. Okay, just making sure it fits okay. And now let's add some extra details to this hood part. Let's add same internal lines as we did to the sleeves. Let's select those, offset as internal line, and distance 25 millimeters. And like this, you see it created the same invisible line for us. And also let's do cut and sew. And let's select those side lines as well. Same technique, right click, offset as internal line. This time distance is 15 millimeter. And right click, cut and sew. Okay, now we've created those lines, and let's simulate those. As you can see, it detached one of the parts, but it's not a big deal. Sometimes it happens because software doesn't really understand why you're doing so many cuts and sewing. So let's press N, segment sewing, and re-sew those parts and press simulate. Now we are have a good looking hood part with the stylized lines, and we are just making sure that there are no intersections, everything fits great. If you have any issues with the your avatar, you can just while in simulation mode just drag those pieces and adjust them. We also want this hood to be off from his head. Just do it manually by dragging the hood off his head like this. Yes. Gonna make sure every single piece of the outfit is fitting great on our guy. Just doing some manual grabbing and lining like this. And now let's select all the patterns and increase the number of polygons by setting this particle distance to 5. Let it process just a little bit. So now our outfit has much more polygons, which could affect the performance, but once you will simulate the outfit, you'll see much more details, much more wrinkles, much more folds. If we will drag it just a little bit, you'll see it generates so much more small and macro wrinkles, which are pretty realistic. Now I'm gonna do some final fitting adjustments. Okay, I think we are good. Now let's jump to those wrist parts and bottom part of our body and give them a bit of elastic or a string feel and look. By decreasing the weft value to 100, we see that the bottom part of the body is now has this elastic feel already, but we want to fix those wrist parts as well. Let's decrease the weft and warp to 90%, or even let's hit it 80. Okay, and now let's drag them to the top so they are not stuck on the palm side of the hand. Just let's do this just a little bit, and you see we have those nice wrist parts, wrist elastic feel like this. And I think we're pretty much done with the outfit creation process. Now it's a good time to start doing some pre-visualization inside Marvelous Designer. And the awesome part is that Marvelous Designer team and Substance team integrated the Substance tools inside Marvelous Designer, which are very great for previs in our case. So let's drag a few Substance source materials that we've downloaded directly into this fabric window, like here, and let's drag a Substance Alchemist one that we've generated before. Okay, here we have all our three materials, two from Substance source, one is from Alchemist that we've created. Now let's select all the patterns and click Assign to Pattern material, and now you see all of our patterns has this nice and cool material that we've generated. You can also select a specific material to specific pattern. Let's select this front one and assign this pattern to it. Let's do the same to the back one. As you can see, even tiling works perfectly without UV mapping already. So let's get back our basic material to those front and back pieces like this, and let's select those sleeve and hood parts and select a new fabric material that I've downloaded from Substance source. This nice cool looking cyberpunkish tech fabric. Now let's select those parts as well. Let's assign a new material like this. Okay, cool. And don't forget about the bottom part of the body and sleeves. Let's also assign those materials to it as well. So yeah, here we are, assigned all the materials we wanted. Now we can activate the new feature that from MD10, which called quality render, which create this nice cool looking ambient occlusion shadows. It is mainly for doing some previsualization, for taking screenshots for yourself or for your client, doing different poses without doing any rendering at all. It also working smoothly in simulation mode as well. So we are pretty much finished with the previsualization, with pattern editing, and now let's jump to the UV editor and let's tweak some UVs there. UV process in Marvel's Designer is super easy because every single piece of the pattern is representing the UV itself. So as you can see, this front part is matching the UV. Let's select all the pieces like that and let's align them real quickly. I'll speed up the process, but this one is pretty straightforward. Just match the UVs into the one tile. And since we're working with the one outfit, we don't really need to move them to another tile. We can match them and fit them into the one. But if you have a let's say pants, you can move those parts to a tile number 1 and work with UDems in Substance Painter. But for now, let's stick it to 1. And yeah, let's head back to simulation mode. I think we can just move it a little bit. And yeah, let's enjoy our final look of the hoodie we've created from scratch. It's looking great. And let's don't forget to save. Now we are ready to export our static outfit. Let's head back to File and press Export OBJ. Select a folder and file name hoodie01 static. Let's press Save. And you can see the export settings in here. So make sure we have select all patterns. We don't really need to export the avatar, so don't need to check it. We also don't need to export the graphics and trims since we're not using any of those. We're not using any bottoms, any stitches for now. Let's make sure to export as a single object. Let's click single object. And let's make sure to select the thin, since we'll be adding thickness inside Cinema 4D. And let's make sure we select unweld, like here. Also, to make the UV work properly, don't forget to select the unfiled UV coordinates, and we are pretty much good to export the model, and let's press OK. So since we are going to work with the animation as well, I mean, we are going to present the animated version of this hoodie in Cinema 4D. We want to import the walk cycle animation. So let's head to File, Import Alembic, and let's import this walk animation that I've created. Let's make sure the FPS is matching our Alembic file. And as you can see, we have this avatar imported. Let's turn down the render quality to speed up the processes. Let's head to animation. And as you can see, it's just a simple animation from T-pose to a walk animation cycle. Nothing too fancy, just some simple stuff. Okay, so now let's align his hands so it would match the ground and the actual pose of our outfit. Let's head back to simulation mode. Let's select the sleeve and let's rotate it just a little bit so it won't be intersecting with the arm and his while it's simulated. Also, let's select this one. Just some minor adjustments. You don't have to be really worried about that. It will be fine whenever we simulate it. Let's press simulate. Let's give it a second. Okay, so yeah, now it's simulated on top of our new avatar, looking good. No intersections, no artifacts. Okay, let's head to the animation panel and do some tweaks here. As you can see, the current frame is 18. Let's select the start value to 18, so it would start the recording from the 18th frame. And also let's select the simulation quality to animation stable. This is the simulation quality you want to use. Obviously, it would take some time to simulate. It also depends what particle distance are you using, what's your hardware, what's your GPU, CPU, etc. But it usually takes from 3 to 5 minutes to simulate 200 frames. Now, since we are done with the simulation and with the recording, let's select the real-time preview and let's play back this animation that we've simulated. So now let's stop this animation for a minute and let's select the start from frame 18th, and actually let's select the real-time preview and decrease the speed of preview by 1/4. And now we can clearly see how the cloth is simulated in pretty much real time. Okay, now I think we're ready to export the Alembic file of this animation that we've created. Let's select File, Export Alembic Ogava, and let's select the path. Okay, and of course, let's name it Hoodie 01 Animated. Let's press Save. Let's make sure we work with thin. Same as a static, we'll be adding thickness afterwards. Let's make sure the FPS is 25, same as our avatar animation. Let's select unified UV coordinates as well. And yeah, don't need to include the avatar shape, don't need to include lights, and let's press OK.